Have you ever noticed something after 60 that's hard to explain, but impossible to ignore? Not a sudden change, but a slow one. You wake up and your body doesn't feel as ready as it used to. Energy doesn't start instantly anymore. Even simple mornings feel slightly heavier. And most people just accept it as aging. But what if that explanation is too simple? Because I started wondering something strange. What if one small morning habit is quietly shaping how your entire day feels, without you ever realizing it? And that question led me to something I didn't expect. A 30-day experiment that completely changed how I looked at this simple habit. For years, most people hear the same advice. Skipping breakfast helps reduce calories. Eating later helps control weight. Simple logic, less food, less weight. It sounds completely reasonable. But here's what doesn't make sense anymore after 60. Why do so many people who follow this still feel tired in the morning? Still sluggish? Still low energy? Still not fully awake until much later in the day? That contradiction bothered me. Because if the logic is correct, the feeling should match it. But in real life, it often doesn't. And that's where I decided I needed to stop guessing and start testing. So I decided to do something simple. For 30 days, I would eat breakfast every single morning. No skipping. No delays. No I'll eat later moments. Just consistency. At first, I honestly didn't expect much. Because breakfast feels like a normal habit, nothing special. But what I didn't realize was this. Sometimes the most normal habits are the ones we never properly observe. And the first few days proved that. Because nothing really changed. No energy boost. No sudden difference. Nothing obvious at all. And that actually made me more curious. Because if something is supposed to affect energy, shouldn't I feel it? By the end of the first week, something strange started happening. It wasn't dramatic. It was subtle. Some mornings felt slightly smoother, like my body didn't take as long to switch on. But on days when breakfast was delayed, something different happened. A slower start, a lingering heaviness, a kind of delay in feeling fully awake. At first, I ignored it. But then it started repeating. And that's when I realized something important. Small changes don't feel meaningful at first, until they start repeating. And that's when they become patterns. By the middle of the 30 days, I started noticing something I couldn't ignore anymore. The days weren't feeling random. They were becoming predictable. Breakfast days felt more stable. Not energetic in a dramatic way, but smoother, more even. Delayed breakfast days felt different. Slower mornings. Midday dips. Less steady energy. And what surprised me most was how consistent this pattern became. It wasn't huge, but it was repeatable. And that made me question something deeper. What if the body doesn't react in big changes, but in small, repeated signals? Then I started noticing something even more interesting. It wasn't just energy. It was how the entire day unfolded. On some days, energy felt steady. On others, it came in waves. Fine in the morning, tired later, foggy by midday. And it wasn't random anymore. It felt connected. That's when something clicked. Maybe it's not about how much energy you have overall. Maybe it's about how your day is started. And that changes everything. Because at this point, I stopped thinking about this as a breakfast experiment and started thinking about something else entirely. What if the real issue isn't metabolism breaking down, but the body becoming less responsive to its morning signals? One idea sounds like damage. The other sounds like timing. And that difference changed how I interpreted everything I was seeing. Because suddenly, small changes didn't feel small anymore. They felt connected. And that made me question the entire foundation of what I thought this experiment was about. After 30 days, I didn't walk away with a dramatic transformation. No miracle result. No extreme change. But what I did walk away with was awareness. Because when you connect everything together, the small changes in morning alertness, the shifts in energy stability, the changes in hunger rhythm, and mental clarity patterns, you start seeing something different. Not random effects, but a repeating pattern. And maybe that's the real lesson here. It's not about breakfast alone. It's about how small morning habits quietly shape the structure of your entire day, without you noticing it happening in real time. And once you start seeing that pattern, you don't really see your mornings the same way again. Because the real change isn't dramatic. It's awareness. And awareness changes everything.